So, the owner of one of the local homebrew shops, Tim at Fermentations, had a great idea. He had some spare grain, and he was just like, hey, he offered up to the club, and he said, if you guys want to brew the same recipe but use different yeast, it's yours for the taking. So we decided to do that.
So if donating the malt wasn't enough, he also donated all the yeast and hops as well.
Yep.
So it was basically a free batch of beer for everyone that participated in the experiment.
That's a fact, yeah.
So this experiment could not have happened without the generosity from Fermentations. Thank you, Tim and Brenda. Great homebrew store. They're always super supportive.
Yeah, they were very supportive. Very nice people. If you live in the Colorado Springs area, I encourage you to go to both, but definitely check out Fermentations.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there.
Yeah. So the mastermind group was headed up by Darin, one of our club members, and he and Tim are here to explain what their intent was. Tim had the brilliant idea. Tim, why did you donate all this grain to the club?
Well, I've been teaching beer brewing lessons here in our store for 12 and a half years, and we do it from kits, partial mash kits. And whenever there's a lager ingredient kit, like a Pilsner or a Continental Pilsner or a Mexican Cerveza or an Oktoberfest, the instruction sheet tells the maker that it may be fermented with lager yeast successfully at ale temperatures. And I never really knew whether you could tell the difference. So I wanted to see if you could. And your club has been generous enough to take the ingredients, the pale ale malt that's from the Netherlands, and put it into various kinds of beer using lager yeast and lager at lager temperatures and some at ale temperatures. And I'm anxious to do a comparison of them and see, without knowing ahead of time which beer we're tasting, if you can really discern the difference and what are the differences.
Yeah. And so Darin, he actually organized the masterminds group that was behind this. How do you think it went? I know we did one tasting at a club meeting and got feedback and had some amazing looking charts from it.
Yep. Well, if we want to add some more people in, Jesse here, he's filming us. Jesse did some amazing data analysis of the data we collected. We got together beforehand, collected the ingredients, settled on a international lager recipe where we targeted the same original gravity, the same final gravity, the same IBUs, because all of our equipment is different. And then people filled out a score sheet, tasted them all blindly, ranked them to a certain extent, but focused, we hope, on does this taste like an ale, does it taste like a lager, can we tell the difference? And it's a little hard to puzzle out real conclusions from that data. Hopefully with that data plus what we're doing tonight, we'll have some good answers. Personally, I thought that 3 or 4 of the beers that we produced were definitely outstanding, crisp, lager-like beers. And they weren't all lager yeast at lager temperature. So, I'm hoping that at least to some extent we can say you use the right yeast, and without special equipment, you can absolutely make a good lager.
Yeah, I know. I'm interested to find out the results of what beer is what, because I've tried them all, but I don't know what was a lager, what was ale, what, was fermented at what temperature. So looking forward to that.
We'll get that today.
So you've heard the term masterminds a couple of times already. Our club does this neat thing where it'll just be a smaller group of people and they do an experiment. And it can be based on a style, based on some other premise. We've done single hop batches, beers with different yeasts, all the same yeasts, just random stuff. And they're always a lot of fun. And the term masterminds actually comes from, I think it was like Benjamin Franklin era, where it's a group of peers that help give constructive criticism and help improve each other. So, yeah. But recipe formulation for this group.
Yeah, so as was mentioned, like Mike just mentioned, we did the mastermind group. And typically what happens with all of those, and what happened this time was we formed the group, we had elect a leader, it was Darin at this time, and we said, okay, we're all going to get together, and we're going to, discuss the recipe. So we met at Fermentations. Tim was kind enough to let us use his back room, and we just sat down and we're like, okay, we got Swain malts. I think it was, I can't remember the recipe off the top of my head, but I think it was like Pilsner and some Vienna. It was pretty simple. And then I think Brad, our illustrious club president at the time, he also suggested that we throw some corn as an adjunct in there. So we're calling it International Pale Lager. I think it could be argued that it's really more of an American lager, maybe with the corn, but that's a matter of personal opinion. But so it was pretty simple, and we just kind of put our heads together and threw it out there. What gravity do we want to hit? What kind of IBUs do we want to hit? And that was pretty much it. And then once we did that, Tim took that information and he bagged everything up for us. And he just
he bagged your ingredients too?
He did.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah, and that comes into play later.
Okay.
So, but I just walked in and he's like, "Okay, here's your stuff." I was like, "Cool, thanks." So, but as Tim mentioned, everybody used a different yeast, and that was kind of the point of the experiment, right? Was that some people would do a lager yeast at lager temperatures, an ale yeast at ale temperatures, a lager yeast at ale temperatures. So
any ale yeast at lager temperatures?
I don't think anybody.
That's madness.
I know, right? If I had the capability of fermentation temperature control, I probably would have done that.
I gotta say, I've always been curious about that too, because I've seen recipes. They're like, and if you don't have temperature control, you'll be fine. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think this Oktoberfest will come out, but
I don't know.
So I was anxious to see the results of this.
Yeah, we didn't talk about all that after the personal opinions after the at the end of this year.
So if you aren't familiar with the triangle test, that's one of the primary ways that we used in this video clip, or actually, I shouldn't say we used. That's one of the primary ways that the organizers of this experiment used to see if the different beer could be selected. They picked one person's beer. It's actually a brewer, Jessie, in the club, and her husband, Simon. And they set up an experiment, or they poured all the bottles, marked all the cups. And the triangle test is basically you have 3 cups. 2 of the cups are exactly the same beer. 1 is a different beer. And you're asking the participants in the experiment if they can tell the difference. Which one of those 3 cups is the odd man out, right? So here Simon is marking the cups. Some of them have a minus, some of them have a plus, and some of them have an equal sign. So, and one thing I want to mention is later on in the video we'll show some awesome graphs that Jesse, the brewer of the beer, not this Jesse, actually created that were, I thought they were pretty cool.
Those, I was blown away.
Yeah.
I was expecting these couple, line graphs, like, oh, okay, bar chart. Nope. It was like really cool.
Yeah. Out of the tasters, you probably recognize at least one face. See, Mike's old. He's been in our videos a bunch, yeah.
Pro on the show.
And then we have Matt over here tasting.
Sure, I had an opinion about one.
And then we have Denny, Darin, who's heading up.
About us as judges as well as brewers.
Well, I'm just a steward. I'm putting that out there.
And then we have Jesse right here.
Yeah.
That smiling face.
Yeah. Of course, since Tim essentially hosted this event, he participated in the sampling of the beers.
I was just making notes about the aroma first.
There's a 65
working
degree
my way
difference,
into
a 25
flavors,
degree difference,
tastes.
28 degree difference. Is that right?
So I don't know. I'm learning.
He was taking pretty copious notes too, because this is the whole point of this is that he could instruct new homebrewers on and counsel them on what kind of yeast they could buy. So he was taking a lot of notes, and he was smelling everything, and I was more of a sniff, go, done.
I went pretty quick myself.
But they were all delicious. But it was pretty cool to see him actually looking into it. I hope he does it again. But
yeah. Well, he already offered up a sack of that Carafa rye.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So what was the results? So we had this little score sheet that we filled out, and all the tasters in the room did that, and then Simon went in the back and compiled the results, and here's what we found out.
Ready?
Okay, go ahead, Simon.
All right. So I'll reveal first of all which one of those pours was actually the different one, and that was the one labelled with a plus.
That was my first guess.
That was brewed at lager temperatures, fermented, at lager temperatures, and the other two were ales.
Ales. Wow.
Ale yeast or fermented at ale temperature?
Oh, you'd have to ask
Just
Jesse.
to say they're both White Labs 800.
Okay.
Pilsner.
The Pilsner,
So it's
yeah.
lager yeast.
And the lager fermented at 48 degrees and the Pilsner 65 to 68.
Good, thanks.
So tallying the results, 3 people chose the correct beer as being different, plus. 1 person said it was minus, and 3 people said it was equals.
Wow.
So there were
That's all different.
3 selections in 2 different camps. So yeah, some people did a good job at detecting what the difference was, but not everyone. So it's pretty split down the middle.
Started out with this.
As you can see, it's definitely possible to do a decent beer with lager yeast at ale temperatures. I mean, people have been saying that for a long time, and people argue it, but you know, it might not be a lager, but it's drinkable beer.
Yeah.
This beer that we're drinking right here is the beer that I brewed, and it's fermented Saf Lager 3470, and I fermented that at I don't know, around 70 degrees or so.
Yeah.
And I let it kind of, I didn't control it as much as I should have. I should have put it in my basement where it's like in the 65, but I put it upstairs in my laundry room, and boy, it got really warm. And at first it was kind of funky, but now it's pretty good. And by the time we did the tasting, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
We also did tastings of all of these to try to elicit some input from the club members. We did it at the club meeting previous to the triangle test.
Yeah. I
And
think there are 13 beers.
yeah,
Is that right?
that sounds
13
right.
beers?
Yeah, and you know, we get some good feedback from there. You know, the results were pretty in line with each other. You know, there weren't too many wild. You know, like this one of the beers wasn't like loved by this one dude. You know, the one crazy guy with his pants on his head in the corner. So, but yeah, I don't know. It was pretty interesting. So.
Yeah. So, and we'll have a link in the show notes to the graphs. I don't know. I'm sure they'll probably be available for quite a while. But I got to say, I thought the graphs, so the 13 beer tasting, it was in the middle of a club meeting. I was trying to pay attention to the presenter, taste the beers, record my notes. And I was kind of like, I don't really remember any of them except for like one tasted like diacetyl or had a lot of diacetyl.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the only thing that stood out to me. There's a couple that were a little notable, but overall, afterwards, when I was talking about it, I was like, I don't know which one was that. That was it 4 or 6?
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
But then the other Jesse, brought produced the graphs. And I was like, oh, well, obviously, these beers, tasted like lagers. These didn't. I was like, really kind of made it all make sense to me.
Yeah. It really helped kind of put everything in perspective.
And Jesse's beer was the one that was being brewed, and it was WLP 800.
Oh yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, WLP 800. Do you know she had pressure fermentation?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think she did the same yeast, warm and
warm and cold. Yeah, same recipe, same yeast.
Yep.
And one caveat is, she said that when she first brewed the beers and bottled them or kegged them, they did taste pretty different.
Yeah.
But now with time, the yeast cleaned up all the stuff that makes them not lagerish.
I can definitely see that.
And they are just side by side, hard to pick out.
Yeah. So we did. I mean, as you saw, we did the triangle test with both of her beers, and there was some difficulty. A lot of people are having trouble figuring out which one was the odd man.
Yeah.
I think I got it, and it was just because of the color, and I think the aroma was just a little bit different.
Yeah.
But they both tasted. They were both delicious. They were both great.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah. So. So you can do it. You can make lagers at ale temps.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, you want to hear the funny anecdote of mine? So everybody else is brewing 5-gallon batches, 5 gallons into the fermenting. So everybody got the same amount of grains. Yeah, grains and everything. I don't do that because I did it in I think a small 3-gallon plastic carboy or something like that. So mine. Everybody else's was like, oh, it's like 5%, 5.2%. Mine was like 7%. So,
this is 7%.
yeah.
Holy mackerel! I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, no,
I would be throwing these down, 2-3 a night. But like, yeah, it's a light beer.
Yeah, no, it got up there a little bit. So I just thought that was fun because everybody else was like, what? Wait, how does 7%?
I can't believe that's a 7% beer.
Yeah, I can't either.
Wow,
because it doesn't taste hot at all.
Not at all, and it's so clean and light.
So, yeah.
So if you'd like to hear some more about mastermind groups, maybe a better explanation, let us know. Your club should be doing it. Your club should be doing it.
Yeah.
It has been awesome.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to do those.
Yeah. If nothing else, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If nothing else, it encourages people to brew more.
Yeah.
Because rather than just like, oh, what are you going to brew? Oh, I don't know, I guess I'll brew another IPA. If you have some guy in your club that brews like we do Scottish ales, hey, Don, why don't you do a Scottish ale mastermind? And he's okay.
Yep.
So now everybody's brewing a Scottish ale. It's really good because it gets people out of their comfort zone.
Well, and then like I said, it's a great place to experiment because I can't brew 10 different split batches all at once. I don't want that much beer laying around, let alone the time.
Yeah.
And there's one time where we did, I think it was a Saison, all with different methods.
Oh yeah.
And that was really neat. And then, I'm trying to think of some other that stand out. We did the Belgian Golden Strong, and that one was the same recipe, same everything. And it was still drastically different.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
all I got.
I just remember the Scottish one. Yeah.
We did an Irish Stout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Irish Stout Masterminds group led by Dave. We just tried different recipes and tasted them side by side. I did 100% wheat stout. And and we'll do groups that fill barrels. I think the biggest problem we have with our mastermind groups is one, finding someone to lead them. Usually the person that's going to lead it is the one who comes up with the idea and wants it to happen. Yeah. And then two is they fill up too quickly. And we're like, man, the rest of the club didn't even hear about that.
Yeah.
So,
unfortunately, it's usually they fill up with the same people that had done the previous one. So the last couple I've been like, you know what, I'm just going to beg off of that and I'm not going to do it. So.
Well, and another nice feature of it is you have a lot of people in the club that just can't make meetings. Maybe your meetings are at a bad time.
Yeah.
And the mastermind groups, they can meet on a weekend or a different night of the week. You brew at your own pace. You kind of work the schedule out. So you'll see people joining them who aren't, you didn't think they were active in the club because you never saw them at meetings. Yeah. If you've got people that are super gung-ho and they want to brew every day, they'll join all the mastermind groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can drink that much.
Yeah. If you have a problem saying no, you may end up joining all of them. I literally say, okay, no more. I'm just going to say no to everything.
He's got it. Yeah, I got to do that. Yeah, I had a problem there for a little bit too. So, but it's because they're so much fun.
Yeah. But if you have experience brewing lagers at ale temps, with or without pressure, go ahead, drop us a comment. If you're still watching the video, you might as well subscribe. Come on. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, till next time, cheers.
Thanks for watching our video. Check out our website at coloradobrewtalk.com for more great content.
While you're there, be sure to leave us a comment or drop us a line with your thoughts.
You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at CO Brew Talk, or follow the links below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future content.
Or episodes, as the case may be.